Of course it won't focus in. Come on, focus. Nah, it ain't gonna focus. Hey guys, it's very windy, very windy. But I was going to do a special video today for Martin Luther King Day, and I actually couldn't get the books I wanted, and I didn't want to do the video without doing the proper research and being able to quote the book specifically. There were 3 books that I really wanted that were written by the lawyer who actually was the lawyer for the guy that they claimed, James Earl Ray, who they claim murdered Martin Luther King. But there was a lot of information I recently came upon from not only him, but the nurse that was also in the room when Martin Luther King was brought into the hospital. And I did a bunch of research and stuff, but I don't have the books down. I didn't have the chance to write all the quotes down. I want the direct books to be reading directly out of them, but the library around here didn't have them. But there's a lot of evidence supporting the fact that the gunshot was not only not from James Earl Ray, it was from an officer hiding in a bush in front of the hotel that they then shaved the next day to make it seem like no one could hide there, but also that he survived the gunshot and they actually smothered him in the hospital. Which it's not like we had video cameras and cell phones and stuff to record all this back then, but considering the nurse testified and there was a wrongful death suit stating that there was a conspiracy to kill him, there's just a lot of things that tie in and a lot of things that don't make sense until you really do the research and everything. So I didn't want to get into that. Maybe at a later date we'll do that, but until I can get the books and I can fully read them and read all the details and everything, I don't want to just skip through and give false information and things. So, with that being stated, Friday we had a pretty crazy day with everything that was released from Mac Miller and Eminem, and there's a bunch of other people as well. Of course. There's like a Halsey album and a bunch of other stuff, which I didn't care about any of that. There's a pretty good Royce song released called Overcomer, and that was pretty dope. And it kind of seemed like it ignited a beef between Royce and Yellow Wolf, which is kind of weird because Yellow Wolf was just signed Eminem, which now he's released. I don't know if there's more to that or what. I really haven't done too much research on it. But there's that. But back to Mac Miller and Eminem. Eminem released Music to Be Murdered By, which seems like it took a lot of inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock's album of the same name. And I did a bunch of research. I didn't know much, like I've heard of his name before, but I didn't really know much about Alfred Hitchcock until I kind of saw this album and started doing research, because I was reading a bunch while I was reading. I really like looking behind things and doing a lot of reading up on them and how they were made and different things of that aspect. So it was kind of interesting seeing the Alfred Hitchcock stuff and just reading about him and reading the things that he did and the different pieces that he put out and how great he really was and how we just really don't learn about that type of stuff. I think I've heard of like movies inspired by him, you know, like you watch a movie that was inspired by Stephen King, because I love Stephen King. But it seems like there were a lot of movies inspired by him, and it seems like I've heard of his name before in that area and that aspect of things. But Mac Miller's album is the real. I really love Eminem's album, and I think it's a wonderful album, but I really haven't. I've probably played it through 6-7 times since it was released, but a lot of that has kind of been taken away by Mac Miller's album. And it was kind of the way before. It was kind of vice versa, because Mac Miller's album Swimming was released early August, right? Sometime early August, early August. And then Kamikaze came out, it was either late August or late September of 2018. And I had been because I didn't even care about Astroworld. Like Astroworld, I gave it a listen or so, like 2 months after the fact. But it was a dope album. It wasn't his best. I preferred Rodeo. But that's a different story. But I listened to Swimming for like that whole month, because I remember I've really fond memories about it, because that's when if you guys didn't know, I was a licensed notary in Ohio. I went and took my notary test because I wanted to be a closing agent for like realtors and stuff. because you can make a decent amount of money doing it, but I couldn't find any opportunities with it. But my plans were to get my notary license, get my notary all set up and all that. So during the whole course of me going to take my test and getting my notary license and all that stuff, Swimming was like the main album I was listening to during that period. Because that was like mid to late August. And it stinks because I listened to Swimming for that whole month, and then Kamikaze came out and I started listening to that, and then Mac Miller died. And I remember I was so excited about Swimming because there was like programs and everything, and that's why I was still cool with that group of people I had dealing with music and everything. That I just have fond memories of that time until he died. You know, and then I kind of resorted back to listening to Swimming. I'll never forget it. I actually didn't find out about him dying myself. I was driving to help my father with something. We were driving the back ways in Ashtabula to help my father. I think it was Saybrook. And someone texted me. My friend Mason Sweeney texted me. He was like, yo, did you see that Mac Miller died? I was like, come on, man. This has to be a hoax or something. And then JJ texted me. He was like, yo, did you see Mac Miller died? And I was like, come on, dude. So I looked it up, and it looked like it was just a hoax at first, but then things started to confirm, and I didn't have really much time, and I got to my father, because I was driving at the time, and I got to my father's, and I started reading into it, and I was like, dang, he's really dead. And I was like, come on, there has to be some way that this can just be fake or something, you know, and there's just those things that hit you so hard that you really don't want to accept, unfortunately. It just... Like, I remember listening to Faces and stuff and him talking about overdosing and stuff and being like, not really understanding how bad it really was. And then I heard Good AM and I heard Godspeed. And it was like, wow, it was really bad. And I watched what's the name of that documentary? It was something about taking responsibility, or it was something like that. But it was such a good documentary. I loved it, and it was really good to watch, and it made you really feel like he was doing okay. And you know, you saw his tweets and stuff, but earlier in like May or something, that's when he had that DUI and he crashed his car, and I thought that was just a minor mishap from like his breakup with Ariana Grande and stuff. I didn't really think it, and at first I was one of those people that kind of took it really hard, and I was like, dang it, it's Ariana Grande's fault and stuff, and it was just out of frustration and anger and sadness, you know, and I completely take back everything I said about it. And it really opened my eyes to drug addiction and overdose, because, you know, you never really take that stuff that serious, like at least for me, because I never have done drugs, so I didn't really know the extent of it, or even alcohol or anything. And I haven't really had anyone close to me die of an overdose or anything like that. Like I have alcoholic relatives and things, but none of them really, you know, they didn't overdose. And the ones that have passed, it wasn't because of like alcohol poisoning or overdosing or something. So I didn't really take it serious, but Mac Miller's death really opened my eyes. And I think you really need that wake-up call to really take things serious, and that's why I started doing a lot of research and things into it, and maybe started understanding a lot more of what my father was going through, and just anybody that's dealing with addictions or anything of that manner. But it was just, it's still really rough to me today, actually. I'm recording this on a Sunday. I actually laid in bed for a while last night just listening to Circles over and over again. And it was just so hard to stop like the tears from coming out of my eyes, because it's so crazy. I still don't want to accept that he's gone. He was just such a big part of, because I remember my cousin James showed me him. He got me all hyped up when Watching Movies was coming out. Because Watching Movies I heard his songs before, like I heard Party on Fifth Ave and things like that, but Watching Movies was what really like got me into him. I remember I pre-ordered and everything. We were so hyped. We were actually going to go to his concert then too, but my cousin ended up having like band concert, a choir concert, or band camp or choir camp or something like that, and we never ended up going, which it kind of makes me really upset to this day, because I never got to see him in person. But it was such a long... I remember I started watching movies, and I started looking deeper, and I found Blue Slide Park, and I found Kids, and I found Life is Good, or what is it? I Love Life, Thank You, and I really got into Macadelic, and I love Macadelic. And then because at this time I was really into him, and I caught up on everything. And then I remember I used to spend nights and stuff at my cousin's house, and we'd kind of try to time it around the time that like an album was released or something. We timed it around the time that Faces was getting released. So I stayed up all night for Faces. I remember that night going to his website to download, and you had to make a little sandwich for it, you know. And I probably had the screenshot or something on my old phone. I really missed that. But I don't know, it hurts, you know, because it's someone that you kind of grew up with. No one else really listened to him at that time. It's kind of the same with like Kid Cudi and stuff, but Kid Cudi didn't really grow with me as a person. I really like his new music, and I really like all of his music, but he didn't really grow with me like that. Mac Miller was really what kind of kept me sane, like going through that middle school transition to high school, because I really was not a cool person in middle school. I wasn't really cool in high school either, but I hung out with the cool kids because they were all my best friends and stuff. But middle school, I was bullied, and I'm not saying that I didn't kind of antagonize it and bring a lot of it upon myself, but I was bullied and things, and it helped a lot with all of that. You know, I listened to Mac Miller and stuff before all my basketball games, my track meets and stuff, and it really helped me deal with it, you know. But back to Circles, I really loved Swimming. I love Circles. You can tell it wasn't entirely complete. I read a few places that it was probably 3 to 4 months away from being a complete album, like from Mac Miller finishing it. It's a very good album. I think, so it's weird to say it, but I think the songs on Circles some of them were better, but I think Swimming was an overall better album, you know, from start to finish. And I got neighbors I got straight neighbors we could be. I'm just conflicted in my thoughts. But from Come Back to Earth, I'm just getting everything mixed up because I have so many things. People gonna be like, you don't know what the hell you talking about, you fake, but just from start to finish, so it goes da la da 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 da. You know, I just feel like it was more of a complete album. And that was almost, to me, that's like a perfect album. Swimming's like a perfect album. There's no bad songs on it. It's just, you listen to one song, you want to listen to the whole thing. Circles is a lot of the same way, and I think that it could have been even better had he had been able to put like the finishing touches, but it's always kind of a struggle between knowing what an artist really wanted to put on the album to what ended up on the album after he's dead. It's the same case with Tupac's The 7 Day Theory. I love The 7 Day Theory, but I wonder, like, looking at the original when it was supposed to be The 3 Day Theory, you know, you guys probably don't know nothing about that, but it's just like, I wonder what he would have done differently, you know, like, it would have been cool if we could have seen this version and then the version he would have wanted released. And I'm still kind of wondering where the rest of the music went, you know, because at one point, I think it was around the time of Good AM, Good Morning, he said that he had like 7 or 8 albums recorded, and this was one of the albums, or maybe it was The Divine Feminine, I'm not sure, but I think Circles is a very solid album. I love so many of the songs on it. I love Circles, I love Complications, my favorites are probably Everybody, Hold Me Down, and Once a Day. I really love Once a Day. But that song makes me cry, you know, and y'all know I'm not one for tears, but I really love Once a Day. And it makes me so sad that he's gone. But, it has because like, I think all that, to me, Swimming has no standout tracks. This has a lot of standout tracks. Because the song after Good News, it has backup vocals from Ariana Grande, they said. I don't know what it's called, but I don't like that song very much. It's probably one of the, like, it's a good song. It just, basing it off kind of the pedestal that the rest of the songs put it on, I don't like it that much. It feels kind of out of place to me. I need to hear the 2 bonus tracks, so I'm thinking about ordering the vinyl. I still don't have a record player. Now I at least have a receiver to plug the record player into. It's just I don't have a record player at the moment, so I don't want to collect the vinyl. Because I really thought about my philosophy with collecting CDs and not using them. I just feel like that's dumb. You know, I love the music. I enjoy using CDs, honestly, because it brings back a lot of memories of my father. when I was younger. But I keep getting off topic and stuff, but I love Circles. I love Music to Die By. I love both of them. My favorite songs on Circles gotta be Everybody, Hold Me, Hand Me Downs, and Once a Day. My favorite songs off, gosh dang it, Die By, Music to Die By, Music to whatever. I gotta say my favorite songs are Lock It Up, Premonitions. I personally like Low Engines, probably not my favorite. I really like Lock It Up. I feel like Lock It Up is really smooth. It really gives me those West Coast vibes with Anderson .Paak. And I'm really happy M got back in the studio behind the production, and he got Dr. Dre behind the production as well. I think it really helps. I personally, like I said, I can't give my full honest opinion on it because it's so long. There's so many tracks to it and there's so many layers to it. And Circles is just an easier to digest album. And I've been waiting on Circles, and I had to listen to it first, and just because it means a lot to me, you know. So I'd probably give Circles, like, I think Swimming was perfection, and I think Circles would be perfection had he had the 3-4 months to finish it. So I'm gonna I give Circles like a 9.5 in my book, Swimming a 10, and Music to Die By probably like 9. Let's say 8.5 for now till I listen to it more. Because there's the issue with a lot of the albums that have a lot of songs on them. A lot of the songs could be bad. Like, there's only one album that has over 20 plus songs, and I probably wouldn't change any on, and that's All Eyes on Me. But when you add so many songs, there's bound to be some songs that aren't up to standards of the others. Kamikaze was kind of just a straightforward, beautiful album, and I love Music to Die By, but there are songs that definitely overshadow others. Darkness is if you haven't seen that, you need to go see the video. They're wonderful albums, and I'm very happy about them, and I'm sorry about getting off track and just sounds so stupid forgetting names and stuff, but I don't know, maybe I needed to get it out. So I'm sorry about not having the MLK video out today. I wanted to get that out. I'm going to keep searching for the books, and if I have to, I'll buy them. But I'll be live later on tonight if you guys want to come by. I've been just replaying Circles and Music to Die By, and if you have any other games, I'm really looking for some new games to play. I've been kind of burned out of games and haven't had anything to play, but alright guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. Have a wonderful day. Let me know what you think of Circles and Music to Die By. Let me know what your favorite album is out of the bunch that were released. Let me know what you think of Circles, your favorite songs on Eminem's new album, and I'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful Monday, guys, and